Thank you so much for joining us for CBN NewsWatch. I'm Efrem Graham. Ahead today, Israel says more than a third of the hostages in Gaza are dead. With more deaths confirmed, the news comes as President Joe Biden is pushing for a ceasefire deal. Hezbollah rockets creating major fires in northern Israel, with many residents calling for the government to strike back. Here in the United States, Dr. Anthony Fauci on the hot seat in front of Congress answering questions about the origin of COVID and the effectiveness of the vaccines. And a pastor preaching his Sunday sermon when suddenly a man points a gun at him. The moment caught on video and seen across the country. We'll hear from that pastor who's grateful to God he's still alive. All those stories and more ahead today right here on CBN NewsWatch.
This is CBN NewsWatch.
I want to begin this busy Tuesday in Israel, where Hezbollah rockets have led to forest fires across large parts of the northern part of the country. The attacks coming as Israel says it believes more than a third of the hostages in Gaza are dead, and some may have been executed. CBN Middle East correspondent Julie Stahl brings us the story. She's reporting from Jerusalem.
The Israeli military confirmed that 4 more hostages died in captivity in Gaza. 3 of them were seen alive in a Hamas propaganda video released earlier.
Their loved ones were killed a few months ago during Hamas captivity in Gaza, and their bodies are still being held by Hamas. We assess that the 4 of them were killed while together in the area of Khan Yunis during our operation there against Hamas.
The Biden administration claims the remaining hostages could be freed and the war ended if Hamas and Israel would agree to its ceasefire proposal. They say the IDF's war on Hamas has so weakened the terrorist group that it doesn't have the capability to launch deadly attacks like the one on October 7th.
Endless conflict in Gaza in pursuit of some idea of total victory is not going to make Israel safer.
Israelis say the pitched battles that still continue in Gaza and the ongoing rocket launches prove that Hamas is far from defeated. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu rejects any plan that would end the war before destroying Hamas's ability to govern Gaza and strike the Jewish nation. He maintains he's sticking to his war cabinet's goal from the start: no peace till Hamas has been eliminated and all the hostages freed.
We insist that we complete both this and that. It's part of the outline. It's not something I'm adding now. It's not something I'm adding because I was pressured in the coalition. It's something we unanimously agreed on in the war cabinet with one voice.
Meanwhile, the U.S. ambassador to the United Nations is urging the UN Security Council to support the 3-phased plan announced by President Biden to end the war. Israeli commentator Carolyn Glick tells CBN News it's an end run by the Biden administration.
So this is a way of going around the Israeli government, going around the Israeli people, going around the American people, to try to compel Israel to capitulate through the United Nations. They did the same thing in 2016 with the nuclear deal that President Obama finalized with Iran that gave Iran an open path to a nuclear arsenal.
Meanwhile, in northern Israel, Israeli troops and fire and rescue services have gained control over raging fires sparked by Hezbollah rocket fire in the Galilee. Julie Stahl, CBN News, Jerusalem.
I want to follow more on this story with our CBN Middle East Bureau Chief Chris Mitchell. He joins us now from Jerusalem. So, Chris, what more can you tell us about the situation with these fires and Hezbollah rockets?
Well, actually, if you look at the footage, Efrem, they look apocalyptic. And it's been devastating to the agriculture up there in the northern part of Israel, just like October 7th was devastating to the agriculture in the southern part of the country. Our reporter and colleague, Chuck Holton, he just came back from the north, and he spoke with a farmer who had acres and acres of cherry trees. They're ripe for harvest, but it's simply too dangerous to go ahead and harvest them for most of the people. At one time, they had 600 workers. Now Now they only have 15. So a lot of that fruit will never make it to market. And so it's really going to be devastating on the long term for many of these farmers and orchards up on the northern border. The northern residents themselves, they're really demanding some action because what is happening up there. There have been daily bombardments by Hezbollah, and it's increasing. But the question is, can Israel fight a two-front war at the same time, both with Hamas in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah up in the north?
Considering that, do you think this will increase the calls for a war against Hezbollah?
Well, it already is, Ephraim. The time has come. This is according to the Minister of Finance, Smotrich. There's head of a yeshiva up there in Kiryat Shimona, which is about maybe 5 miles from the Lebanese border. We were up there maybe several weeks ago. It's a town of about 24,000. About 3,000 are remaining, maybe less since that time. But they feel like they need to restore security to the north, and that these limited counterattacks, in other words, when Hezbollah fires and then Israel responds, they say they're not working. They need boots on the ground. And again, it's really a question of overall the IDF strategy and the War Cabinet strategy. They probably want to be able to finish Hamas as much as they can in Gaza and then turn to the north and defeat Hezbollah. But that's but right now it's very, very difficult for the people up there on the northern border.
Chris, what else can you tell us about why the Israeli government isn't going along with President Biden's sentiment that the war can be stopped because Hamas has been so weakened?
Well, to many Israelis, and I think Netanyahu and some members of the coalition say, really, that's not the point. The point not is that they're so weakened that they can't launch October 7th again. That wasn't the war aim, as it said in Julie's report. They want to defeat Hamas militarily. They don't want Hamas to be resurrected right now. They're not defeated totally. Their leaders are still intact, like Yahya Sinwar. They still have maybe 6,000 fighters there left in Gaza. So they want to make sure they do defeat Hamas militarily and make sure that Hamas is not part of a governing authority after the war. And of course, one of the main goals has been to return all of the hostages. When President Biden says so weakened that it can't launch another October 7th attack, it's both not specific enough and it doesn't go far enough.
Does the Israeli leadership believe wiping out Hamas is realistic?
I believe they do, and it might take longer than expected. It could take months more, and as we've heard from one military analyst, it could take up to 3 years to get complete control of Gaza. They would disagree with Matthew Miller from the State Department that said that really doesn't help achieve Israel's security. They do believe that although it's going to take a longer time and maybe a harder slog than they ever expected, but they believe that is an achievable and a realistic goal. In the meantime, the U.S. seems to be restraining, casting doubt on these war aims of Israel. That seemed to be the motivation behind President Biden's speech on Friday. And also, taking that a step further, the U.S. is proposing at the UN that the three-phase plan that Biden talked about last Friday will be part of a Security Council resolution that really does take it to another step here in Israel.
Chris, Israel says a third of the Gaza hostages are dead. And how does that fact and the 4 who've died in captivity affect the hostage negotiations?
Well, on the one hand, Ephraim, it's probably likely that the more that have died or they expect are not living would become less of a bargaining chip for Hamas. There's a question, how many is still alive? How many does Hamas actually have in their hands? Or maybe the other major group there in Gaza, Islamic Jihad, or maybe other clans. There was a time for negotiations a little while ago that they didn't even know if they could have 33 live hostages to trade with. But on the other hand, it's emotionally traumatic and sad for the country. Ephraim, it's a small country here, but a big family. People are mourning for the families of all those who have died, anguish for those still in captivity. And as you said, the government believes maybe a third are dead. So if you do quickly the math, about 250 were kidnapped on October 7th. About 120 remain, and about 43 of those have been declared dead.
Really quick, can you share what's coming up on Jerusalem Dateline today?
Well, we'll have an update story, more analysis from Carolyn Glick. We have a lawsuit against 2 Palestinian student groups. We'll be talking about that. And also a historical look at the Yom Kippur War, and also a segment on how Christians can pray, support, and stand with Israel at this time of its greatest peril.
All right, Chris Mitchell reporting from Jerusalem. Thank you so much. Continue to stay safe. We continue to pray for you. I want to remind you, you can see the latest Jerusalem Dateline tonight on the CBN News channel. It begins at 8 Eastern. You can also watch it on the CBN News app, or you can watch it on YouTube. Coming up, Dr. Anthony Fauci back on the Capitol in Washington answering questions about the origins of COVID and how effective the vaccines really were. We're going to bring you the story when we come back.
Introducing a brand new way to start your morning. Get your daily quick start from CBN News. A quick read on the important news of the day delivered right to your inbox. Stay current on breaking news, politics, and entertainment. Discover how God is moving around the world and here at home. Plus, get exclusive stories and daily scripture encouragement just for you. Stay informed. Go to quickstart.news and subscribe today.
COVID was once again front and center in Washington Monday as Dr. Anthony Fauci was in the hot seat on Capitol Hill. The former White House chief medical advisor facing questions from House Republicans about the origins of the disease and the United States' response to the pandemic. CBN News senior correspondent Wendy Griffith brings us the story.
Fauci's testimony before a House subcommittee marked his first public appearance on Capitol Hill since retiring in December 2022. He said the COVID lab leak theory isn't a conspiracy and maintained that he kept an open mind about how it occurred.
During the hearing, House Democrats praised Dr. Fauci for saving countless lives during the COVID-19 pandemic.
I lost both of my parents during the pandemic, so I take this very personally. It's important to note that if my opinion is that you are an American hero and your team has done more to save lives than all 435 members of this body on both sides of the aisle.
While recognizing aspects of his long service, some Republicans also criticized Dr. Fauci.
Business closures.
Early on, when 5,000 people were dying a day, yes.
Church closures.
Same thing.
School closures.
Again, the
stay-at-home orders.
These were important when we were trying to stop the tsunami of deaths that were occurring early on. How long you kept them going is debatable.
As to the theory that the virus escaped from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, Fauci testified that can't be ruled out. He called allegations of his involvement in trying to cover up its origins completely false.
The accusation being circulated that I influenced these scientists to change their minds by bribing them with millions of dollars in grant money is absolutely false and simply preposterous.
Fauci did admit the vaccine was not as effective as they first thought.
The vaccine saved millions of lives, and I want to thank you for your support and engagement on that. However, despite statements to the contrary, it did not stop transmission of the virus.
That is a complicated issue because in the beginning, the first iteration of the vaccines did have an effect, not 100%, not a high effect. They did prevent infection and subsequently, obviously, transmission. However, it's important to point out something that we did not know early on that became evident as the months went by, is that the durability of protection against infection and hence transmission was relatively limited.
Yeah, it definitely had positive effect for many people, especially those that were vulnerable. But we knew from the trials that people that got vaccinated still were subject to getting COVID. So was the COVID vaccine 100% effective?
I don't believe any vaccine is 100% effective.
Fauci also said more work needs to be done to prepare the U.S. for the next pandemic, including better communication between federal and local officials. Wendy Griffith, CBN News.
Still ahead, a pastor is preaching his Sunday sermon when suddenly a man threatens him with a gun. The incident captured on the church's live stream. We're going to hear from that pastor about what happened that day right after this. Pastor Glenn Germany of Jesus' Dwelling Place in Pittsburgh is so grateful to God for his life after a man attempted to shoot him during a Sunday sermon. The stunning video of the incident was seen across the country as it was captured on the church's live stream. He joins CBN's The Prayer Link program to talk about it.
Pastor Glenn Germany is with us now. Pastor Germany, welcome to The Prayer Link.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
We've seen your face. We've heard the story. We're going to dive into all that God has done by sparing your life in that amazing incident that happened nearly 3 weeks ago. First of all, tell me about your church. Tell us a little bit about it, how long you've been pastoring.
Our church is a beautiful church. I've been pastoring there for about 14 years. You know, God continues to bring people, out to us. And one thing about our church is that we're really based on teaching. We really like for people to learn the Word of God. The way that we do it is that even in service, when I am preaching, you're allowed to stop me and you're allowed to ask me questions. And so I like it that way because when it comes to the gospel, it should be the highest aspect of education. And if I'm supposed to have a message for you, it's about you hearing. It ain't beneficial for you not to understand what I just taught on and you walk out the door. So you can actually ask me and I'll stop.
How long have you been pastoring now?
I've been pastoring for 29 years now.
29 years.
Yes.
And I mean, wow, we all saw the video, Pastor Germany. A few weeks ago, your praise and worship was, going on. You come out and this gentleman, and you thought he was the guest that your brother had invited.
Correct.
Talk about that.
Well, a lot of time, we do get people who come in and out because we do live music at our church. And sometimes they come in and out and for the aspect of the music. So I was, I didn't know if he was just someone coming in, but then, just for the music aspect. But then when he started sitting down, I was like, okay, that's the one my brother invited, Yeah. And so, but me and my brother never had a chance to communicate because I was running late for church that day. And so usually I greet everyone who comes in our church, but that day I just didn't.
Wow. So this man pulls out a gun, Pastor Germany, and points it directly at you. What was going through your mind in that moment?
To be honest with you, I didn't have a chance for anything to go through my mind because at the point that he pulled the gun, I didn't see him actually walking straight up to me and then pulling it. When I really took notice to him, the gun was already out, pointed at me. Only thing I see is the barrel of the gun. And at that point, I just natural instincts kicked in, cover up, duck, run, and try to get out of the line of, the gunfire.
Now, you had never seen this man prior, you don't know him, but apparently he heard voices.
Yes.
Telling him. What did he tell you that the voices said?
We do a lot of work in the community, and even doing a lot of work in the community, we never seen him before. But when I had a chance to talk with him, he apologized to me, and he just said he don't know why he did it. He said, I just heard voices, and he said when you hear voices in your mind, you just do what they tell you to do.
And what were the voices telling him to do?
He said the voices told him to go kill the pastor.
Go kill the pastor is what the voices were telling him.
Mm-hmm.
What was your reaction when you heard that?
First of all, he didn't even know who the pastor was because if you would have came to earlier Bible study, my brother, who was the senior pastor, he was pastor at the time. And then for a while, this guy actually waited 2 hours before he done what he done. And so I was up leading praise and worship, and he waited all the way until it was just me up there. There was a time when my daughter and Deacon Clarence's daughter was beside me doing praise and worship, but he waited it out. And then all of a sudden, when he seen me by myself, that's when he came up to try to shoot me.
Did you ever imagine that something like this would happen?
No, you know.
I mean, who does?
Yeah.
In a church, in your church. But, you know, we're seeing an increase in people coming into churches and committing acts of violence. We're seeing it on the news. What's your response to what we're seeing?
Well, I truly believe that it's more than just an act of violence. And what I mean by that is I believe it's a spiritual warfare that's going on. And I really believe that, you know, when he's hearing voices, I believe that the enemy was using a vessel, because that's what the enemy have to use. They operate on the natural, even though they're spiritual. So he needed a vessel in the natural to carry out his will. And someone who don't understand the ways of God, or who haven't been free from sin, who has no power over voices as we do as believers, he just submitted into the voice that he heard.
Spiritual warfare is so real, and demonic spirits are real.
Absolutely.
And demonic spirits were speaking with this man to tell him, go kill the pastor. That's real.
And you can hear more of Pastor Glenn's story and get more spiritually uplifting information on this week's episode of the Prayer Link. It airs on the CBN News Channel Wednesday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern. You can also watch it on the CBN News app or watch it on YouTube. We're coming back with an encouraging word for your day ahead. Stay with us.
Download the CBN News app. One place for all of your news. Breaking news alerts. Watch CBN News Channel Live. CBN News, because truth matters. Get the CBN News app today.
Welcome back. Time now for your Tuesday Tweetable. This is a message I pray will bless you and that you will post, tag, tweet, and share it with those in your circles of influence. God does not make mistakes. If He hasn't changed your circumstances, perhaps it's time for you to change your perspective. See the situation from a different side, a different angle, a different perspective. With that word, make this a terrific Tuesday. That will do it for this edition of CBN NewsWatch. Remember, you can always find more of our news programs on the CBN News Channel. You can find them there at any time, or you can find them online. That's cbnnews.com. Take a moment. Let us know what you think about the stories you've seen here today or any day. You can email us, newswatch@cbn.com. We'd love to hear from you. You can also reach out and touch us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Hope you'll join us again right back here, same time tomorrow. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye. God bless. We'll see you tomorrow.